I heard the click of a camera shutter before I even saw the flash. It was a Tuesday night in August, the kind of humid, still air that makes the streetlights look like smeared amber. I was pulling the last of the laundry into the dryer when the sound cut through the apartment's thin walls. Sharp, mechanical, unmistakably a shudder. I froze, watching the hallway light flicker, then steadied as the door to the basement opened and closed on its own. I never lived in a building that had a basement, but the old 3-story walk-up on Maple Avenue did. My neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, lived on the ground floor, and the rest of us kept to our own lives, exchanging nods in the hallway, never more. Yet that night something else moved behind the cracked paint of the hallway door. The next morning, I found a tiny pinhole camera glued to the underside of my kitchen cabinet. Its lens was cracked, but the black plastic body was still intact. I called the landlord, who shrugged. Probably a maintenance thing. I checked the security footage from the building's lobby. Nothing. The camera was a one-off, a ghost in my kitchen. I began to notice other things. A sedan with tinted windows would pull up to the curb across from my building at 10:13 p.m. every night for a week, its engine humming low as the streetlights washed over its roof. The driver never got out. He just sat there, eyes fixed on the building. I tried to ignore it, telling myself I was seeing patterns where none existed. 2 weeks later, a soft rap at my front door at 3:07 a.m. woke me. My heart thumped against my ribs as I padded down the hallway, the floorboards creaking under my weight. The door was ajar, the lock disengaged. Inside, a single shoe, a women's size 7, rested on my welcome mat. No note, no footprints, just the cold imprint of a shoe that wasn't mine. I changed the locks and installed a cheap blinking Wi-Fi camera over my front porch. The footage showed the same sedan, the driver now wearing a baseball cap, his face obscured by the shadow of the brim. He lingered, his hand resting on the car door, as if waiting for something to happen. I thought I was being paranoid until the night I logged onto Instagram to scroll through a friend's vacation photos. One of the images was a close-up of my own living room, my couch, the framed photo on the mantel, the exact crack in the ceiling where the water had dripped last summer. The caption read, "New spot for the next shoot. #Urban Explorers." The account was private, with no followers, but the timestamp matched the night the basement door had opened. I deleted the app, removed the account, and called the police again. They sent an officer to take statements, but the sedan was gone, and the camera in the hallway was still there, its lens now covered in a thin layer of dust. The officer left a business card and a warning. "If you feel threatened, call immediately." That night, as I sat on my couch in the dim glow of a lamp, the house settled with its usual sighs. My phone buzzed. A notification from an unknown number displayed a single image. The view from my porch, taken at 11:59 p.m., the streetlight casting a long shadow of the sedan across the sidewalk, the car's taillights still on. No text, no name, just the picture, the quiet reminder that somewhere, a camera was still watching. I stared at the screen until the battery died, the room growing colder with each passing second. Story 2. It started with the car. A dark sedan, parked 3 houses down, facing my front yard. I noticed it on a Tuesday night at 11:47 p.m., just before I turned off the living room lamp. It was just there. No lights, no movement. I told myself it was a neighbor's visitor, a broken-down driver. But it was there again the next night. And the next. Then came the Instagram follower. A blank profile, no picture, no posts. Just a username. Suburb_gazer. They followed me. And only me. I reported it. Blocked it. 2 days later, a new account. Quiet_watcher. Same emptiness. My follower count ticked up by 1, then down when I blocked, then up again with a new name. It felt less like spam and more like a game of tag where I was always it. I checked my Ring doorbell footage every morning. Nothing. Until last Thursday. I was rewinding to see if a package had been delivered when I saw it. A gloved hand, just for a frame, reaching toward the camera's physical mount. The camera hadn't triggered a motion alert. They'd known how to be invisible to the system. A cold finger traced my spine. I stopped looking at the street. I drew the blinds. But the silence outside became a presence. I'd be in the kitchen and feel a pressure against the back of my neck, turn, and see nothing but the microwave's digital clock. The feeling was worst at 3:17 a.m. every night. A precise, silent hour. I bought a baseball bat, kept it by the bed. My husband, Mark, said I was fraying. "It's stress from the new job," he'd say, kissing my forehead. His pragmatism was a comfort and a cage. I couldn't prove anything. Just a car. Just ghosts in my follower list. The escalation wasn't loud. It was precise. A garden gnome I'd placed on the left side of the porch was now on the right. A small ceramic frog I'd owned for 10 years. I was sure of it. I moved it back. The next morning, it was on the right again, facing the street. My breath fogged the window as I stared, my reflection a pale ghost next to the gnome's painted smile. Last night, the car was gone. I almost sighed with relief. I slept in fitful bursts, the quiet a roaring thing. At dawn, bleary-eyed, I went to the front door to get the newspaper. And I saw it. The large terracotta planter on the porch, the one heavy enough that Mark and I struggled to lift it, was tilted at a 45-degree angle, soil spilled onto the concrete. It hadn't been knocked over by wind. It had been shifted. The implication was physical, invasive. Someone had been on my porch, close to my door, while we slept. The untouched newspaper lay in the grass, a discarded prop. I didn't scream. I just stood there, the cool morning air biting my skin, my heart a trapped bird. I hadn't heard a knock. There was no note, just this silent, rearranged world. This person wasn't just watching anymore. They were curating my reality, leaving subtle, terrifying edits. I locked the deadbolt. I checked all the windows. I called the police, my voice calm, reporting a trespass. They took notes, said they'd patrol. "No evidence of forced entry, ma'am," the officer said, his sympathy a thin veneer over procedure. "Mark is at work now. I'm home alone. The blinds are drawn. The bat is beside me on the couch. I'm watching my own phone, waiting for the next follower request. The screen stays dark. The silence isn't empty anymore. It's patient. It's measuring the space between my breaths. And I know, with a certainty that chills deeper than any fear, that the car isn't gone. It's just hidden. And they're not just watching the house. They're watching me. Inside. Every move. Waiting for the right moment to stop rearranging the world and start rearranging me. The screen on my phone flickers to life. A new notification. From Instagram. The username is 3_17_AM_.